Yeah, my name is Pat Rhodes, and I was I guess the first area director in Auburn. Graduated from University of Washington, and felt the Lord calling to come on staff. Looked at some other places, and Enumclaw had a surplus, and they had a heart for Auburn. Auburn was like 3 times the size of Enumclaw at the time, and they had a heart for Auburn. They said, "Hey, we have the funds. We need to find somebody." And so I'll never forget Jim Brown calling me up and said, "Hey, I want you to come interview in Enumclaw." I said, "For what?" And he goes, "In Auburn." It's like, okay, that's interesting. Who's involved? And I remember it was just Bob and Sue Peters, and that was pretty much it. But it was pretty clear that the Lord had orchestrated it. So,
in the spring of 1986, we had adult interest meetings at White River Presbyterian, and there wasn't any adults that were interested. So my son Perry and his friend Michelle invited their friends to the house to have pizza and play volleyball, and Pat just came and with his Malibu movie and showed it. The kids had never been to a club before ever. I don't even think they knew what Young Life was. And Pat wooed them, and I believe it was 6 or 7 of them went to Malibu that very first time.
we had about 7 kids over to Bob and Sue Peters' house, and I was since I was the staff guy, I was taking these kids that I'd never met in my life to camp. Got to know these guys and some of these gals, and we went ahead and went to Malibu with the Enumclaw group, and a lot of friendships formed back then. I mean, Perry's still one of my best friends. We talk all the time here 30 years later, and so it was pretty crazy. It was a crazy season of just, excitement, energy. What is Young Life? We've heard about this. People had some experience in the past with different things, and I'll never forget taking taking groups up to Enumclaw and just showing them what Young Life looks like, and hoping someday and praying someday that we'd have our own club here in Auburn. And at the time, there was only 1 high school and 2 junior highs. So it's a little different now than it was back 30 years ago, but the thought of actually having a club at 2 junior highs and the high school is kind of unbelievable if that could ever happen.
Pat rose and took me to coffee at Trotter's and asked me if I'd be interested in being on the adult committee. So for probably the next 2 years, we met once a month up in Enumclaw, Sue and Bob Peters. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years, Enumclaw told us that it was time we do it on our own.
Looking back 30 years ago, I mean, I don't think we would have thought that Young Life would be where it's at now. It's amazing to watch how the Lord continues to grow. I mean, Auburn has grown as a community with so many new schools, and it's amazing how Young Life now is a fabric of the community. I mean, it is a part of the essence of Auburn, and that's something that I never thought 30 years ago that would happen.
So, it's just been an amazing thing to see a handful of kids in the backyard playing volleyball to hundreds of kids the last 30 years that have been influenced for the Lord, and it just thrills me.
The reason I stay involved is that I still see Young Life making such a difference to the kids here in this community. Young Life is a non-threatening way for them to hear the gospel. And it's my heart's desire, and always has been, that everybody have a chance, the opportunity to hear about Jesus. And there's no better way, no better means than to have a Young Life leader build a relationship with a middle school student or a high school student and share their faith with them. And it works.
We have a lot of great things in Auburn for our kids, but this is an eternal thing that will give and give through eternity.